So today we have an interesting topic about investing in real estate. So make sure that you continue to listen about the different ways that you can, the multiple avenues that you can get into real estate investing, and then also just what that really means and the benefits of real estate and how it helps build wealth. So, and then Dan throws us for a loop with a really good question as well. So definitely stay tuned.
Welcome to the Close to Home podcast. Real people, real life, real stories. Insight and inspiration from Close to Home brings a fresh perspective on home, business, and life. Join the professionals across real estate, construction, insurance, and financial lending to gain perspective not only from their individual professional experience, but also from their life stories.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ashley.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Finally Friday.
Busy or productive week?
We have to say productive.
I'm gonna say productive. I mean, I have gotten a lot of things produced, but I feel busy.
Well, I'll say it. It makes me feel a little better, but
Right.
you always want to be productive, and you ever do that? You got an easy task, and it turns out to be the nightmare, and then you got one that looks like a nightmare and it's easy.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Right.
So
It's like sometimes some of our smallest jobs are the most difficult.
isn't that amazing?
Dude. I have a one file that right now it's just like, I'm not going to say that it's a small price point, but it's just, oh my gosh. It's always those.
Yep.
But it is what it is. I mean, it happens and we'll get through it and it'll be good.
All
We
right,
got-
all
yeah.
right. What's new?
Well, today's podcast sponsor is Jim's Home Loans. That's what's new. And you can reach Jim at jimshomeloans.com or 636-236-9263. And he has an email, jimgrassopodcast@gmail.com.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Well, let's start today's topic. We've got a good one here. Dan, our real estate expert, is going to school us a bit on investing in real estate.
Yeah. So one of the things that people ask me all the time is why would I want to invest in real estate versus a stock market versus wherever else I could put my money? And I'm gonna put my disclaimer up here before we do anything else. I am a real estate agent. I am not a financial advisor. I am not a CPA, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express one time. So
You always say that, and I do not understand the reference.
it's a commercial. No, still not. Okay. Well, so why would you want to invest in real estate? Well, in my opinion, I have never met anybody that I thought was wealthy that does not have some sort of real estate investments.
True story.
It builds wealth. There's a ton of different ways you can go. There's commercial, there's single family, multifamily, multi-tenant commercial, there's industrial, there's farms, there's a ton of different developments. There's a different way to reach each one of your goals. And I'm not going to say that multifamily reaches goals faster than commercial, reaches goals faster than developments, reaches goals faster than farms, but each one of them has its own specific spot. And there's some people who like what they like. They like the single families or they like the multifamilies. Personally, I like farms. That's what I know. That's what I'm good with. I like developments. It's what I know. It's what I'm good with. There's some commercial things that I'm okay with. I'm familiar with multifamily stuff a little bit. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can go about investing in real estate and creating wealth. Understand that building wealth takes time. It's not like hitting the lottery. It's not something that you don't have money one day, and by buying real estate, you're probably not going to have money tomorrow. You know what I mean? So it's not something that's going to come overnight. It's a long-term wealth creation strategy. My financial advisor, he's bought and sold a couple farms through me, and he tells me that the best financial decision that he's ever made is real estate, and he's a financial advisor.
Well, yeah, I
And
mean,
it's
you
just a ton of
gotta
assets.
diversify, and if he's got the patience for the long haul in the stock market, he's going to understand and appreciate the long haul with real estate.
Exactly.
It's different things. There's going to be different returns. Whether it's flips or whether it's holding or land acquisition or whatever the case is. I think the biggest key to any type of wealth building is diversity.
So it's interesting when you think about investing. If you invest into the stock market, you've got a situation where it's a full gamble, and here I am, the gambler. It's like that might be a little risky for me. Some of the events and the smaller companies, that you would do. I can't think of a time, and we mentioned this before, where real estate hasn't prevailed. Now, look, it goes through dips, sways, and all kinds of things. Sometimes it even goes backwards a little bit. But there's always something there. And if you can afford to hold on to it long enough, it's wonderful. If you can cash flow with it, come on. It doesn't even have to. If you're cash flowing, do you really care what the value is if it's a cash flow for you?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, if you've bought in at say 100,000 and it's cash flowing 1,000 a month or whatever it is, that's pretty darn good. But then it appreciates. That's even better.
Right.
And then as you're paying it down, that equity gradually becomes yours as well.
And then you can use that equity to buy something else that cash flows that appreciates.
Think about that. That's 3 ways you're making money. You got cash coming. It's appreciating. What was that other thing?
Leverage.
No, you're paying it down too.
Oh yeah, equity.
So, yeah,
leveraging equity. Yeah.
But I like that. So anyway,
so let me ask you a question. In your mind, Jim, I'm going to single you out. Is your primary residence an asset or is it a liability?
Interesting.
Did somebody say liability?
I heard somebody say liability.
Yeah. So in my mind, my primary residence is more of a liability than it is an asset in the way that it sits right now, because I have to live in that house. That means I have to pay for that house. So it's not making me money. Now, if I can take the equity that I have in my house and use the equity to buy something else that makes me money, that's, in my mind, that's when it becomes an asset. And that's only when it becomes an asset in my mind. Now, I'm not going to argue with, whoever, Dave Ramsey or Susie Orman or Rich Dad Poor Dad. Like I'm not gonna argue with those guys about that. But that's the way that my mind works. Is if I can use the equity in my house to buy something that creates wealth, whether it's through cash flow, whether it's through appreciation, whether it's through whatever it is, whatever avenue that it takes, that's when my house, my primary residence, becomes an asset versus a liability.
So that's interesting. And so, I'd argue with you, but that was pretty good content. I'm the guy who can't say no very easily, but I can sure as heck argue. So interestingly enough, there comes a point where exactly what Dan said is, I have to agree 100%. But as you're in the home longer, and this is true to real estate. So for me, the question about the asset liability, I've been there 12 years, and I don't know very much on it. And it is earning, appreciation, and I am paying down that equity, which belongs to me. Now, I'm not going to lie. When I moved in, I was in a bad situation, and it was quite the struggle. Every bit of it was worth it. Yeah. And now look what happened to all the values here fairly recently. Mm-hmm. There's a ton of equity. I never anticipated that. I was trying to anticipate a roof over my head and how to keep it.
Right.
Yep.
Never a bad investment. Never a bad investment. No, that's not the only, property that I have. And obviously, I'm sure in the background it'll come out. Everybody kind of knows I like to jump into the mud and make a mess. Where, there's all kinds of things, and that's what's more exciting, but to the point, your home is most likely a liability until it's
making
not
money
anymore.
for you.
Yeah.
And I think that's to Dan's point. If it's not paying for itself plus making money for you, in his mind, it's a liability.
Right.
That's the way that I look at things.
But there will be that crossroad once you get it paid down. Look at your appreciation
sure.
and your equity position. It's like, hey, But if you're paying for it, guys, from the finance world, it's a liability.
Right.
All the way.
But there are some necessary liabilities in life, and we go back to
you have to have a roof over
balancing
your head.
what you need versus, so having one house that doesn't pay for itself is okay.
Right. Yeah, and I mean,
3?
there's right, exactly. So there's 3 things that everybody needs to have in order to survive: food, water, shelter. You got to have a house. I mean, can you live in a cave? Sure, but it's a hell of a lot more comfortable to live in a house.
I can
and
see
sit on
Dan
a
in
lazy
the
boy.
cave. I can see him in his wall tent. I
Yeah.
can see Dan anywhere. A little cloud of dust around him. He's happy.
I can live pretty scarcely. I've done it before. I've done it before. Could I live in a wall tent in the mountains in January? Boy, that would really suck. But May,
Not me.
September, not terrible. Whatever. It is what it is.
Right. So to your point here, though, so you got your primary, which is your liability. If you can make a little bit of extra money here by investing properly, you could turn that liability into part of your portfolio.
Yep. So let's say, Jim, you've been in your house for 12 years. You've got equity. If you don't have a whole lot of cash in the bank, but you want to go buy something that makes you money, you could take out a home equity line of credit and then go buy something that creates wealth for you, that creates cash flow. Now, if you're paying 6 or 7% or whatever it is on your asset that you just purchased, it should probably make more than 6 or 7%. Otherwise, it's a liability in my mind. But if you're making 10%, that's not bad. It'll pay for itself, pay off the line of credit, and then you can reuse that to go buy something else.
Well, what if I'm like Ashley and the money's coming in hand over fist? So,
I don't know because I'm not in that position. Actually, what's it like?
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
no, I honestly, withstanding the terrible humor I have, if I'm doing that and going out for more, I actually kind of lost my train of thought with this. But the point is I might need a tax shelter, and that might not be a bad way to go, is to put it into a little parcel or something else that could develop for a future. Look, not all investments are now. Some investments are, hey, I know I'm not going to break even on this until probably 3 to 5 years.
Right.
But I'm going to do this.
Yeah, and there's a certain point in time, too, if you're a business owner or if wherever it is you are in life, I mean, if you're thinking about investing in real estate, you've probably got something that you need to shelter for taxable reasons. My CPA tells me sometimes, hey, you need to, put more in whatever it is, in some other asset, or you need to invest more this year because, you made more, whatever it is. So there's certain point in times where you may just buy something just because if you don't buy something, you're going to be
Taxed on it,
giving it to
heavily.
the government.
And if you need to buy something, call Dan.
Right. Yeah. Well, real estate wise, if you need to buy stocks or something, don't call Dan because I'm not a financial advisor. But yeah, so there's a certain point in time where, you need to buy something, and what is produced time and time again. In my mind, it's real estate. That's why I'm in the business I'm in.
So, in your opinion, what would make somebody, the most sense if they had a few extra dollars and they said, hey, I can't do anything big, but.
I would say that breaking into the single family residential is a pretty low risk. It's a pretty, you're not going to get a super high return as compared to doing like maybe a commercial development or industrial development or multifamily.
But Dan, what if it's a wash? Like, in other words, okay, I bought it and it's really not making me a whole bunch of money.
Does it
it's
pay for
basically
itself?
Yeah,
Then it's making you money.
it's a win,
You're
right?
generating wealth.
Right.
Wealth doesn't come overnight. It comes a long
I've
time.
got my future dollars covered.
Mm-hmm.
I'm earning equity. I'm earning appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
So now, if you can cash flow, that's wonderful. Or if you can put more into it in
Right.
cash flow.
Yeah, and I mean, just because you're not making $1 million doesn't mean that you're not doing well for yourself. If you can space things out in a way that makes sense, and you can have something later on down the line. I mean, that's probably why you're investing in the stock market, right? You're putting money into a 401k or IRA or Roth or whatever it is, and you're expecting that money to be there later on down the line
With growth.
with growth. Yeah.
Right.
And that's what the expectation is. Now, from what, in my mind's eye, whenever I buy a stock, I don't know if you can hear this, it's a piece of paper. If I go buy a piece of real estate, I can go out there and I can touch it. I can dig a hole on it. I can use it to shelter my head. If the paper's worthless, that really sucks, because then my money's gone. If I buy a single family residence and I lose my primary residence for whatever reason, I got a roof over my head. You know, that kind of one way to look at it.
Pretty practical thinking, and again, a safe bet, which is part of getting the wheels turning here.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a ton of different ways that you can invest in real estate. There's commercial, there's single family, there's multifamily, there's farms, there's timber, there's CRP ground.
Wait, what's CRP?
So CRP is where you would take, it's a government program that they will pay you to take farm ground, tillable production farm ground, out of production for a certain dollar per acre
For a certain
amount of time.
Okay.
Yep. So you can get a 5-year, 10-year CRP contract. Most of them that I've seen are 10 years.
Why?
Why? So it started as erosion control. So
Gotcha.
what happened, the Dust Bowl, what they're trying to do is take that out of the equation for the future. There was just a massive dust storm in Oklahoma, or not Oklahoma, Illinois, like 65 car pileup, a bunch of people were killed. It was a perfect storm because it's planting season right now.
Right.
And so there's all that freshly turned topsoil. Topsoil doesn't weigh anything. I mean, wind starts blowing and all of a sudden now you've got a big giant cloud of dust that you can't see anything. That's the reason why CRP came in when it did, was to control the erosion both from wind and water, so we don't lose topsoil.
That's something that most people don't ever encounter, that I just think that's so interesting.
Yeah. I mean, if you live in New York City, or
Right.
I mean, most of our listeners probably don't live in New York City, but if you live in a big city, you're probably not going to encounter a bunch of erosion from,
Farming.
from
Yeah.
tillage.
But if
Yeah.
you're in the Midwest and
Yeah, I mean, we live in Missouri, so
Right.
we're seeing tractors going up and down the road right now. It's
Yes.
planting season, so
just next door.
right, yeah, exactly, yeah, right between you and me. So, there's a bunch of tillage going on right now. So CRP is where they take ground out of production, they plant warm season grasses. Typically,
Okay.
is CP33 is the most common around here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So there's a million different ways that you can get into investments, and each one is based on how much money you have, how much money you want to make, and what your goals are.
And are you able to, let's say somebody would be interested in investing, are you able to kind of show potential scenarios for an individual that came to you wanting to invest but not know what to invest, how much to invest? You could kind of help them play out those scenarios.
Yeah. I
and
mean,
what
to a
that might
certain
look like.
extent,
Of
yeah. I
course.
mean, we can't, pull out a crystal ball,
Or guide them
unfortunately.
to which type of real estate investment would fit them best.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a one size fits all. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but on my Facebook or Instagram or whatever, I've got a million different people telling me, "Oh, buy multifamily," and they're all ads. So I'm
Right.
sure that was
Also, the most difficult thing to find.
Yeah.
right, exactly. And they're all claiming to be able to find it for you, which, okay, whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that it's going to be situational dependent.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So.
Hey, time for trivia.
Jim's favorite part.
I love this part.
Ashley,
Uh-oh.
what is spaghetto? That is not where I live.
Like SpaghettiOs?
Oh, I was thinking like the male version of spaghetti or something.
Spaghetti.
What?
Am I the only one that's completely stumped?
No, completely stumped.
All right. Spaghetto means singular, one noodle, one string.
We just call it sketty at home because
Sketty?
the kids are so young.
Sketty is a whole bunch of sketto.
Okay.
Got it.
I thought that was interesting.
It's like cacti.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And that works too for confetti. You can have a confetto, which is one dot. Kind of interesting, but I mean, when I saw that, spaghetto?
Spaghetti.
Okay.
I'm stuck on the cacti because I just call them cactuses.
Oh, Dan.
A bunch of cactuses.
I can have a spaghetto with like 30 meatballs. All right.
Just one noodle and all beef.
Yeah.
So if
That'd
you
be
want to
perfect.
invest in a spaghetti farm,
Do you have any spaghetti farms that we can
I have
invest in?
never, ever found a spaghetti farm or spaghetto farm.
That would be a really
Where they
bad farm.
harvest-
That would
the
probably be a
spaghetti.
terrible ROI.
Yes.
It definitely would. Definitely would.
No, but I would say that, I mean, there's plenty of wheat that's grown around here. So, yeah, there's, and that's generally a second rotation crop.
yep. So do you know what the other byproduct of wheat is, Jim?
No,
When
I
they
do
harvest,
not.
what do they cut second after they cut the
Straw.
straw?
Did not know.
You don't
Yeah.
like it when
So
you get
it's not-
asked and you're on the other
straw
end of
is not fun fact from the horse girl. Straw is not hay.
Yeah. Hay is grass. Straw is wheat stubble.
Correct. So just fun fact. I don't know.
Which one does Dan chew?
Neither.
Ooh.
The straw or the grass?
Neither. Dan quit chewing things except for sunflower seeds a couple of years ago.
All right.
Yay.
Good for Dan. Well, moving right along. We are going to, are we going to close?
Oh, we can probably close. I mean, so I don't know, where you're at in your financial journey. But there is a possibility that you could possibly get into real estate investing. Now, a couple podcasts ago, we talked about credit card debt and making sure that after you wiped that out, that you had your emergency funds. In my opinion, I'm not a financial advisor. Get your emergency funds squared away before you invest in anything. I think that would be the prudent thing to do. That's my opinion. Once again, I'm not Susie Orwell or
It's always a good idea, but you want your money making money, and
Right.
so this is
That's better than sitting
it is
in
a safe way to do it, and we could cover that in the future for those of us who don't want to flip the whole bill on how to gradually break in. There are ways to do it, and we can talk
and there's
about
ways
those
to
in
do
future
it without
casts.
using your money too.
Yeah, that's important too. You always want to use Jacqueline's money or something like that.
Hey, Jacqueline, you want to spot me?
Yeah. Can I borrow a couple 50s? Jim and I are going to the casino.
Okay. I'll be
Wise
there tonight.
investment.
Oh gosh, this is a bad reputation. Well, thanks everybody. If you have questions or comments, you can reach us at help me out here.
Close to home 636 at gmail.com.
All right.
Absolutely. See you all next time.
Catch you next week.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.